Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a classic C-sharp coding dilemma, one that, honestly, every single developer runs into: var versus dynamic.
You know, it might seem like a small thing, but picking the wrong one can lead to some seriously nasty bugs down the road. It's all about making sure you're choosing the right tool for the job you're actually doing. So to really wrap our heads around the difference here, we're going to use a simple analogy throughout this explainer. Let's imagine we have two professionals. One is the planner, and the other is the improviser.
All right, first up, let's meet our methodical professional, the planner. And in our C-sharp world, that's the var keyword.
Yeah, with var, the plan is basically locked in before your program even takes its first breath. The compiler takes one look at your code, figures out the exact type it needs to be, and bam, it's set in stone. And these traits, they really tell you everything you need to know about the planner's personality. It's all about playing it safe, right? It's predictable. Because that type is decided at compile time, you get all that helpful IntelliSense, and maybe more importantly, the compiler becomes your safety net, catching your mistakes before the code even runs. So look at this, it's a perfect example. The second the compiler sees the value Rohan inside those quotes, it just knows. Name has to be a string. The plan is made, it's clear, end of story.
And this is where the planner really shines. This is its biggest strength. You try to change the plan midway by sticking a number into that string variable? Nope. The compiler slams on the brakes and throws an error right then and there. A bug is squashed before it ever had a chance to exist.
Okay, so that's the planner. Now let's switch gears and meet our other professional, someone with a totally different style. Meet the improviser, the dynamic keyword. So unlike our super prepared planner, the improviser, well, they kind of figure things out on the fly while the show is already running. The type of a dynamic variable isn't decided until the program is actually executing that line of code. And you can see it right here. The improviser is all about flexibility. It just totally sidesteps the compiler's usual checks, which lets it change its type whenever it wants. But, and this is a big but, that freedom comes with a huge risk because errors will only pop up when the code is actually running. Check this out. This is that improvisation in action. The data variable starts its life as a string, but then boom, it becomes a number. And the program, it doesn't even blink. It has no problem with this at all. It just adapts on the fly. But here's the scary part. The compiler has zero clue what's going on with the dynamic object, so it just lets this code slide. It's only later when your program is live, maybe even in front of a user, that everything comes crashing down because, whoops, that method doesn't actually exist. All right, so we've met both our characters. Let's put them side by side in a head-to-head showdown. This should make the trade-offs crystal clear. Yeah, looking at it like this really lays it all out, doesn't it? With var, our planner, you're getting that rock-solid safety, and errors get caught early. With dynamic, our improviser, you get a ton of flexibility, but you are flying without a net, and those errors won't show up until much, much later. It's a direct trade. Safety for flexibility. Okay, so that's the theory. But what about the real world? The big question is, how do you decide? When do you hire the planner, and when do you call in the improviser? This developer here puts it perfectly. The rule of thumb is, you stick with the planner, you stick with var, for safety and clarity, and you only bring in the improviser, dynamic, when you're dealing with genuine uncertainty and you absolutely have to. And a perfect place for var is something like this link query. I mean, you're creating this new custom type right on the spot. You couldn't even type out its name if you tried. But the compiler, it knows exactly what's going on, giving you that full type safety without you having to write a bunch of boilerplate code. But on the flip side, dynamic is an absolute superstar when you're dealing with stuff from the outside world, like data from a JSON API. You have no way of knowing what that data is going to look like ahead of time, right? So dynamic lets you just improvise and access the properties you expect to be there. So at the end of the day, it really just boils down to this simple mantra: plan when you can, improvise when you must. Think of var as your trusty, everyday tool, and dynamic as that powerful, specialized tool you pull out only when the job absolutely demands it. So it makes you think, right? When you look at your own code, are you more of a planner or an improviser? And understanding this distinction, it isn't just some abstract exercise. It's really about making deliberate choices that lead to cleaner, safer, and just all-around better code. Thanks for tuning in.